In this video lesson we'll be looking at converting units, but this time we're going to be looking at using both metric and English units and the relationships that are developed for these. So let's take a look at our first example. Our first example is to determine how many miles are contained in a 10-kilometer race. So we have some specific things that we know, we have some specific things that we're trying to find. We're given a 10-kilometer race as our distance, and we need to determine how many miles that is. Now, if you take a look at your equation sheet that you have, you'll be able to determine the relationships that you want to use. But let's start out. We're going to start out with our 10-kilometer race, and then we'll put in our relationship to get from kilometers to meters. So I put kilometers down in the denominator and 1,000 meters up top. That means my kilometers will cancel out. The next step would be then to go from meters to miles, and since I know that there are 1,609 meters in 1 mile, I'm going to put 1,609 meters down in the denominator, 1 mile up top. That allows us to cancel out our meters, and that leaves me left with only the thing that I'm looking for, which is miles. So I multiply all the way across the top, I multiply all the way across the bottom, and then I divide the top by the bottom. Leaves me with 6.22 miles. Example number 2 is a little bit more difficult. Now we're going to look at a mass and weight conversion. All right, and this question is asking us about a farmer who sells his produce by the ton. However, his scale shows him that he has 650 kilograms. How many tons of produce does the farmer have? So again, we know what we have. We have 650 kilograms worth of produce, and we're trying to figure out how many tons that is. So again, we start out with our 650 kilograms. Now, again, by looking at my equation sheet, I have two relationships that I'm going to use. I'm going to first go from kilograms to pounds, and then from pounds to tons. So I know that I have in 1 kilogram 2.2 pounds. That allows me to cancel out kilograms. Now I'm left with pounds. And I know that in 1 ton there are 2,000 pounds. So I'm going to put the 2,000 pounds in the bottom and the 1 ton up top. Again, canceling out pounds. At this point, all I do is multiply across the top and multiply across the bottom. I'm left with 1,430 tons divided by 2,000. And then if I do that division, I'm left with 0.72 tons worth of produce. Our third example here is another rate example. Right? This is something that you should be becoming familiar with as far as using both sides of our fraction, or I should say the numerator and the denominator of the fraction, to make your way through. So if I have 42 inches per second, I want to be converting that into meters per minute. So my given information, 42 inches per second, into some unknown quantity in meters per minute. So I start with my 42 inches over 1 second. I'm going to start out by converting my inches into meters. I'm going to use the relationship of 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters to start. That gets rid of my inches. And then I'm going to use the relationship of 100 centimeters equal to 1 meter to cancel out my centimeters. Again, all of these relationships come from your equation sheet, which can be found on our Schoology page. So now I'm in meters, but I'm still in seconds, so I need to make some conversions here for my seconds. And I know that I have 60 seconds in 1 minute, so I'm going to put my 60 seconds up top, my 1 minute down in the bottom, thus canceling seconds. The only things that I have left that haven't been canceled are meters and minutes. So if I multiply across the top and multiply across the bottom, I'm left with this, and then I reduce my fraction to 64.01 meters per minute. Our final example here is probably one of the more complex questions that you can be asked. What we're doing is we're looking at multiple different steps, as well as conceptually understanding what exactly is happening and how can we use the factor label method to attack this. So at a party, people are drinking 6 2-liter bottles of soda every hour. Based on that information, how many 12 fluid ounce soda cans are being consumed every minute? So the first thing that I do is I say, well, if they're drinking 6 2-liter bottles of soda, how many liters of soda are they drinking in 1 hour? So I do 6 times 2 liters gives me 12 liters per hour. And I know that I'm trying to determine how many 12 fluid ounce sodas they're drinking every minute. So I'm going to start with my 12 liters per hour, and now I want to get from liters to fluid ounces and from hours into minutes. So let's start out with our liters. Again, using my equation sheet, I'm going to use the relationship of 1 gallon is equal to 3.79 liters. Again, putting liters in the bottom to cancel out, putting gallons up top. That cancels out my liters. So now I'm in gallons per hour. But I don't want to be in gallons per hour. I need to make my way to fluid ounces. So the next relationship that I'm going to use is quarts to gallons. I put 1 gallon in the bottom, 4 quarts up top. Gallons cancels out. Now I'm left with quarts per hour, and I know that in 1 quart there are 32 fluid ounces, so I can then put in that relationship. So now I'm in fluid ounces per hour. The last step that I have to do is make one last conversion to get from hours into minutes, and that'll give me how many fluid ounces per minute are being consumed. So that gives me, so I cancel out my hours, and I'm left with fluid ounces per minute. So if I multiply all the way across the top, multiply all the way across the bottom, I'll be left with this relationship, and then I can reduce that. And I reduce that to 6.75 fluid ounces per minute. But that answer does not directly answer my question. My question is how many 12 fluid ounce soda cans are being consumed every minute. Well, I know how many fluid ounces are being consumed every minute, so I need to compare that or convert that from fluid ounces into cans. And to do that, I'm going to use this relationship right here of 1 can is equal to 12 fluid ounces. That'll allow my fluid ounces to cancel out, and it'll allow me to get my final answer, which is 0.56 cans per minute. As is the case with any of our video lessons, please make sure that you ask questions if you have any problems.